Our story begins in the historic city of Baltimore, Maryland, a place known for its vibrant culture and bustling port. Its crime rate is amongst the highest in the United States, characterized by acts of seemingly random assaults, robberies, and murders. But from 1990 to 2005, a series of unsolved murders showcased an even darker side of Baltimore, one where the killers are intelligent, coordinated, and impossible to catch. This is the story of Baltimore's most infamous yet mysterious serial killer, a person known only as the Cipher. Our journey into the darkness begins on the chill winter morning of February 27th, 1990. Sarah Martinez, a 32-year-old woman, was found lifeless in a locked room with no obvious entrances or exits, the first in a series of chilling creative murders. But more puzzling than the impossible room was the discovery of a coded note, a complex series of symbols and letters that stumped even the most seasoned codebreakers. The murders continued, each more confusing than the last. Alan Washington was a respected elderly man who had recently retired from his long career as a chemistry professor at the local university. If one wanted to find him, they could do so at his church every Sunday, always singing loud and proud. According to his friends and family, Alan was discovered enclosed in a shell of rapidly hardened cement in his own basement in 1992. The room was perfectly clean except for the cement block. His coded note was written in the cement itself, scratched in before the cement hardened. There were no possible suspects and no leads from the scene of the crime. The code was the only clue. The next victim was taken 7 years later. Elizabeth Monroe, a middle-aged woman, was found in 1999, dead in her kitchen. Be warned, the circumstances of her discovery are shocking and gruesome. A cat was seen inside her house clawing at the windows, its face covered in blood. Elizabeth's cat had been feeding on her corpse for several days before the police found her. The cause of death appeared to be a heart attack, but Detective Robert Lancaster was brought in to look at one puzzling aspect: a note stuck to the fridge that said, "Cats are filled with curiosity." A handwriting analysis strongly suggested the writing belonged to a man. Someone had left it for them to find. Most thought it a sick joke, but Detective Lancaster had enough experience to know when a psycho was trying to show off. He searched the litter box and found a small plastic tube which held a tiny scroll of paper covered in coded symbols. That slip of paper remains unsolved to this day, and no other clues were found. 2 years later, the next victim was taken, a promising athlete named Thomas Redbird. He was found dead and preserved within a block of ice in his own bedroom in the heat of summer. The room was chilled as if an Arctic wind had swept through, and Thomas stood frozen, at peace, as if they needed only to thaw him free and he would wake up. The note covered in symbols was found frozen on the wall, covered with frost. A thorough inspection of the house revealed that the block of ice was brought in from outside and placed in the room. Thomas was killed away from the house and was brought back to be staged within. No other leads or suspects were uncovered from this murder. Staring down the barrel of a complete mystery, law enforcement fought to uncover leads. Veteran detective Robert Lancaster, a seasoned officer known for his iron will, led the investigation. Over the years, he interrogated a string of suspects. First, a former government codebreaker who had a long and successful career, but grew mad in his obsession with unsolvable puzzles. He had airtight alibis for each murder. His lengthy stay in a mental hospital left him little opportunity to plan and commit these elaborate murders. Lancaster described him as unhinged and not the kind capable of carefully planned murders. In the summer of 2002, a local high school math teacher came forward offering to help solve the codes, but detectives were suspicious of his arrogance and extensive knowledge. This teacher discussed the murders that had happened in such detail and borderline excitement. Lancaster had never seen someone so eager to know the gruesome details of each and every related murder. When asked for comments from the teacher, who wished to remain anonymous, said, "I just really like solving puzzles, especially when the stakes are high." He was cleared when multiple students testified that he was proctoring an exam during one of the murders. His teaching attendance also left him little opportunity to plan and execute these murders. Despite their relentless efforts, the identity and motive of the Cipher remained a mystery, leaving Lancaster and the entire Baltimore PD confused and frustrated. The cryptic notes left by the Cipher became the core of the investigation. Each one was a unique string of symbols and letters that teased language and code experts alike. Interviews with these experts revealed their mounting frustrations and wild speculations. Some saw patterns related to ancient languages, others mathematical formula, and a few even believed they held the key to a metaphysical puzzle. As the body count rose and the cryptic notes piled up, law enforcement turned to psychological profiling in an attempt to understand the serial killer. Dr. Helen Sullivan, a renowned forensic psychologist, someone who is famed for her ability to delve into the minds of society's most dangerous criminals. Dr. Sullivan notes that the Cipher's extensive planning, the complexity of his crimes, and the theatrical elements of his murder scenes all point to an individual of high intelligence and creativity. She suggests that the Cipher likely has a background in mathematics or a related field, given the complexity of the codes left at the scenes. The diversity of the victims, spanning different ages and races, was initially confusing. However, Dr. Sullivan suggests that these victims were selected not for who they were, but for what they represented, pieces in the Cipher's grand cryptic puzzle. Their diversity highlights that no one is safe. These killings are not about the individuals, they are just pieces in a larger game and anyone could be a pawn. The lack of any sexual or extremely violent element in the murders led Dr. Sullivan to theorize that the Cipher's primary motivation was likely the intellectual satisfaction taken from the creation of the elaborate murder scenes and the codes. She suggests that the Cipher sees himself as an artist or a performer, with each murder serving as a performance and each cryptic note as a challenge to law enforcement. Dr. Sullivan's profile painted a chilling picture of a cold, calculating, and deeply disturbed mind. Yet, despite the insight offered by the profile, the Cipher's identity remained a mystery, hidden behind the veil of his unsolved codes. This further fueled the fear and the curiosity surrounding the case as Baltimore wondered who among them could be capable of such evil and complex crimes. Then, on October 15, 2005, a chilling discovery marked what seemed to be the final act of the Cipher. Yusef Farouk, a 56-year-old man who was found inside a sealed underground bunker, without any visible means of entry or exit. The last note, as cryptic as ever, was found, and then silence. In the years since, several murders have sprung up in cities across the country bearing some resemblance to the original Cipher. They were cryptic, coded notes along with psychotic creativity in the killings. Are these the work of the Cipher or copycats trying to chase the fame of a master?